الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So as we continue discussing the book Bulugh Maram by Hafidh Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahimahullah, that covers ahadith al-ahkam, so matter that relates to things of ibadat and muamalat based upon the ahadith that have been narrated upon the Prophet of Islam regarding these matters. So we've been discussing Kitab al-Wudu, where the author rahimahullah mentioned certain hadith that relates to the ahkam of wudu. So we'll be picking up from where we had stopped in the last lesson regarding of those matters that relates to al-wudu. So read through the hadith regarding al-wudu, and then we'll comment and take the ahkam from these ahadith. Aywa.
Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam wa rasulillah. Hadith number 41 from the Book of Purification, narrated Aisha radiallahu anha. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam loved to begin with the right while putting on his shoes, combing his hair, in his purification and in all his affairs. Agreed upon.
Next hadith.
Hadith number 42, narrated Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, when performing ablution, begin with your right limbs. Reported by Al-Arba'ah and graded Sahih, authentic by Ibn Khuzaymah.
So that's the hadith is mentioned regarding concerning of those matters that relate to the ahkam of wudu, as he mentioned here, two hadith. So read through the hadith as the hadith have been read through, and then we will go through the hadith as we'll normally do. So the first hadith that have been mentioned, hadith of Aisha al-Mu'mineen radhiyallahu anha, that she mentioned كان النبي الإسلام يعجبه تيمم في تنحله وترجله وطهوره وفي شأنه كله متفق عليه. So the first hadith that is mentioned here with the Prophet of Islam, where Aisha radhiyallahu anha have described the Prophet of Islam that he enjoyed regarding concerning of using of his right, regarding placing his shoe on, and also regarding combing of his hair, and also in matters of tuhur, of purification, and all of his affairs. Then he mentioned the hadith muttafaqun alayh, meaning the hadith in the muttafaqun alayh, the hadith in the Bukhari and Muslim. Then the second hadith that is mentioned, hadith of Abu Hurairah anhu, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, where the Prophet of Islam mentioned in this hadith where he states إذا توضأتم, that if you perform wudu, فابدأوا بميامنكم, that you should start with your right side. Then he mentioned أخرجه, the hadith have been collected by Al-Arba وصححه Ibn Khuzaymah. So we'll go to where he mentioned Al-Arba, meaning Sunan Al-Arba, and the hadith have been authenticated by Ibn Khuzaymah rahimahullah ta'ala. So those are the two hadith that relates to some aspect regarding the ahkam of al-wudu. And so first of those things to be discussed regarding concerning the narrator of the hadith, that we have the first hadith narrated by Aisha radhiyallahu anha, who is said to be Mu'mineen. So Aisha bint Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radhiyallahu anha, that wife of the Prophet of Islam, and we had mentioned before regarding certain matters regarding Aisha radhiyallahu anha. So that's concerning the first hadith. As for the takhrij of this hadith, where the author here, Ibn Hajar rahimahullah mentioned, muttafaqun alayhi, the hadith is agreed upon by Bukhari and Muslim. So we'll go to what is mentioned here regarding a further takhrij of the hadith by what is mentioned by Sheikh Halak in his tahqiq of this book, or his editing and checking of this book, Bulugh Maram. So for what is mentioned regarding muttafaqun alayhi, Sheikh Halak rahimahullah, that he mentioned regarding concerning this hadith, that he mentioned akhrajahu Bukhari, and he mentioned concerning where Bukhari mentioned the hadith. Also he mentioned wal Muslim, also Imam Muslim rahimahullah in his Sahih. Then he mentioned Abu Dawood, also the hadith have been collected by Abu Dawood. Then also he mentioned At-Tirmidhi, and he mentioned قال, and Imam Tirmidhi rahimahullah قال hadithun hasanun sahih, that he graded the hadith as being hadithun hasanun sahih. Then he mentioned An-Nasa'i, then also An-Nasa'i also collected the hadith, and also Ibn Majah. So in reality he mentioned regarding this hadith of Aisha radhiyallahu anha, that is he mentioned muttafaqun alayh, but in reality the hadith in the Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawood, Tirmidhi, Nasa'i, and also Ibn Majah, and also Musnad Ahmad, and also he mentioned wal Ahmed fil Musnad, and also Ahmed rahimahullah in his book Al-Musnad. So the hadith is collected by Al-Kutubu Sitta. So in reality the hadith in the Kutubu Sitta, Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawood, Tirmidhi, Nasa'i, Ibn Majah, and also Ahmed will be al-Sab'a. Ahmed will be al-Kutub al-Sab'a. So the hadith is collected by all those main collectors of the hadith. So the hadith he mentioned here, that's concerning further takhrij on the hadith. Then he mentioned concerning, as for the second hadith that he mentioned, the hadith of Abu Hurairah anhu, where he mentioned that after this hadith, as also we have mentioned about Abu Hurairah anhu with Abdul Rahman ibn Sakhr al-Dawsi. So Abdul Rahman ibn Sakhr al-Dawsi, regarding what is his name, but is mainly known as Abu Hurairah. As for the hadith he mentioned, takhrij of the hadith, that he mentioned a hadith that akhrajahu al-arba. So al-arba, according to the Mustalahat of Ibn Hajar rahimahullah regarding what he placed upon this book, when it says al-arba, the hadith is found or collected by al-arba, meaning the 4 books, that it means as-sunan al-arba. It means as-sunan al-arba, that I mentioned, added to this, sahahu Ibn Khuzaymah. Also Ibn Khuzaymah rahimahullah authenticated this hadith. So when we go to what is mentioned regarding the footnotes of Sheikh Hallaq, when he mentioned this second hadith, that he mentioned huwa hadithun sahih. So first thing he mentioned, give the grading of the hadith, then he mentioned that according to his view on the hadith, that he mentioned akhrajahu, as for those who have collected this hadith, Abu Dawud, Ibn Majah, Tirmidhi, Nasa'i fil Kubra, Nasa'i fil Kubra. Then he mentioned kama fi atraf al-Mizzi. So that's concerning Ibn Hajar rahimahullah mentioned al-arba. So al-arba, it includes, as he mentioned here, Abu Dawud in his Sunan, Ibn Majah in his Sunan, At-Tirmidhi in his Al-Jami', and also mentioned An-Nasa'i. So al-arba, when arba is mentioned in general, Imam An-Nasa'i rahimahullah has 2 books of hadith. One is called Al-Mujtaba, which is As-Sughra, and the other one is called Al-Kubra. So he has 2 books in hadith, 2 main collection, Al-Kubra was Sughra. So the Sughra, which is the smaller collection, and you have Al-Kubra, the larger collection. As for the smaller collection, then that is one that is a part of Al-Arba. So An-Nasa'i rahimahullah, Imam An-Nasa'i rahimahullah, he has 2 books of hadith. One is Sunan Al-Kubra, the larger Sunan. Then he has a Sunan As-Sughra, which is the smaller collection. The smaller collection is a part of Al-Arba, Kutub Sunan Al-Arba. But when I mention here, An-Nasa'i fil Kubra, so Nasa'i fil Kubra, so the hadith is not actually a part of Al-Arba by way of Sunan Al-Arba, as this hadith is in Al-Kubra of Nasa'i. So in reality, the hadith is in Abu Dawud, Ibn Majah, Tirmidhi, regarding Al-Arba. As for Nasa'i in Al-Kubra, then Al-Kubra is not a part of Al-Arba. It's not of the 4 books of hadith, what are said to be As-Sunan Al-Arba. So that's concerning, sometimes the ulama of hadith, someone can be very precise, where Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, that when he mentioned the hadith is in As-Sunan Al-Arba, that is actually is not in Sunan Al-Arba, all of them, but rather in regards to An-Nasa'i, it is in his book Al-Kubra, which is not a part of Sunan Al-Arba. So that's concerned that he mentioned that to prove of his point, he mentioned the book in Al-Atraf, Al-Mizzi rahimahullah. So Imam Al-Mizzi rahimahullah, one of the A'immat al-Kibar of hadith of the time, so one of the great scholars of hadith. Then he mentioned regarding concerning some difference in the wording. Also he mentioned the hadith is in the Ahmad in his Musnad, also Ibn Hibban, also Al-Bayhaqi. Then he mentioned قال الزيلعي, so Zayla'i rahimahullah, قال في نصب الراية. So the book of Al-Zayla'i, that is called Nasb al-Raya, that is the book which is a book of takhrij of hadith. So Al-Zayla'i rahimahullah, he went to one of the books of the Hanafi, the main books of a Hanafi, Al-Idayah, and he took all the ahadiths that are mentioned in this book of Al-Idayah, or one of the Hanafi fiqh book, and he can somewhat critique the hadith in those books. He critique all the hadith that is in this particular book. So Al-Zayla'i rahimahullah, he mentioned, وقال في الإمام, وقال الزيلة في النصب الراية, وقال في الإمام, that huwa jadir bi an yusahha wa qad sahhahu al-Albani. So I can somewhat Zayla'i rahimahullah more inclined toward the hadith is authentic. They mention that of those of contemporary, of the ulama of contemporary times who have authenticated hadith, that they mention here qad sahhahu al-Albani fi as-Sahih Ibn Majah. So Al-Albani rahimahullah, Sheikh Al-Albani rahimahullah authenticate this hadith, and also Abdul Qadir al-Arnaout in his book Jami' al-Usul. So Jami' al-Usul is also a book that Sheikh Abdul Qadir did some work on this book, And this book, Jami al-Usul, is a book by Ibn Athir, rahimahullah ta'ala. So that's concerning what is mentioned here regarding halaq, regarding that hadith. So he sees the hadith as authentic, and he kind of somewhat cited of those who authentic hadith, that also the hadith in the Ibn Khuzaymah, and the authentic hadith, also the hadith in the Ibn Hibban, Ahmed, and others. And of those who, and some of the ulama, authenticate that hadith of Abu Hurairah anhu. So just kind of somewhat also a second of those who have done some work on the book of Bulugh al-Maram, that sometimes we compare between both. Another checking and editing of this book that is done by Sheikh, one of the Mashaykh of Iraq, or Sheikh Mahir Yasin Fahal, wafaqahullah, that in his checking of this book, where he mentioned this hadith, the first hadith that of Aisha anha, that what he mentioned hadith Sahih, akhrajahu Ahmed, Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawud, Ibn Majah, Tirmidhi, Nasa'i, Ibn Khuzaymah, they mention Ibn Hibban, and also Bayhaqi. So also that is mentioned that these are also of the sources, the books of hadith, that have somewhat collected this hadith. So again, he mentioned Ahmed in his Musnad, Imam Bukhari, Muslim in his Sahih, Abu Dawud, Ibn Majah, Tirmidhi, Nasa'i, Ibn Khuzaymah, and also Ibn Hibban, and also Al-Bayhaqi. So these are those ones who have narrated the first hadith of Aisha radhiyallahu anha. As for the second hadith that he mentions, that he mentioned this hadith also, he started by Sahih. So also he agrees with the rule that the hadith is authentic. Then he mentioned, as for Takhrij, he mentioned Akhrajahu Ahmed in his book Al-Musnad, Abu Dawud, Ibn Majah, Ibn Khuzaymah. They mentioned بتحقيقه as Sheikh Fahal, that he has a tahqiq of the book Ibn Khuzaymah. So you have several checking of the book of Ibn Khuzaymah. One of them was done by Sheikh Al-Azami, with Sheikh Al-Bani rahimahullah also did some check also that some, also Sheikh Al-Bani did some footnotes also on the book. Then also Sheikh Mahir also came and did is checking. Then also you have Ibn Hibban. Then he mentioned also Tabarani fil Awsat, Ibn Sinni. So Ibn Sinni rahimahullah, that he has a book called Amal Yawm wa Layla, concerning books regarding Azkar, regarding things of the different type of Azkar that is said throughout the day. That book also is in print. You have several print of this book. And also Al-Bayhaqi mentioned, Wal Bayhaqi. Then I mentioned Akhrajahu At-Tirmidhi, Nasa'i fil Kubra, and their wording is somewhat different. The wording is somewhat different. When they mention, Kan Rasul al-Islam, إِذَا لَبَسَ قَمِيسًا, the Prophet Islam, if he worn a qamis, a thawb or qamis, a garment, بَدَهَ بِيَمَانِهِ, that he would start with his right side. So he mentioned that the hadith, that the wording is somewhat, so he mentioned concerning An-Nasa'i fi Kubra. So there is no mention of Nasa'i fi al-Sugra. So the hadith is not with An-Nasa'i fi al-Sugra. Ibn Hajar rahimahullah should have clarified the mention Akhraj Arba, that a hadith actually is in Nasa'i in his book Al-Kubra, not to be taken or to be understood that it is in As-Sugra. So that's concerning this particular hadith. Then he mentioned something of, they mention إذا ومن ذاك يعلم, and by this يعلم تساهل إطلاق الحافظ في تخريج إذا غزاه للأربعة. They mention that a point of, somewhat they mention a point that want to take into, want to be mindful of. They mention that, and with this, that we can see, mention that you can unsee that Hafid ibn Hajar rahimahullah, that he was somewhat very complacent or relaxed in mentioning, making takhrij or stating the hadith can be found in Al-Arba, but in Windsor, but that is not the case. That is not the case. That is not the case. So that's concerning those matters regarding concerning this hadith. So the hadith, both hadith are considered to be authentic, as mentioned. So that concerning takhrij of the hadith. So as we mentioned that regarding concerning at times to compare, regarding concerning these books. So what concerning that at times to compare different the same book, but maybe with different works from different mashaykh on that book, where one can gain the different benefits that each shaykh may add to that book. So as for the next matter regarding concerning now discussing concerning the fawahid and the ahkam of the hadith. So as for the first hadith that is mentioned, that the first of those things that I mentioned concerning one, the mawdu of this hadith. So what's the topic of this hadith? So the topic of the hadith is concerning al-hukum, tayammum, or concerning that, that fil umur minha al-wudu, regarding the use, starting with the right in general affairs, and in particular in relation to al-wudu. So what's the hukum in starting with the right side of the body in performing the act of wudu, and also other related acts. So they mentioned regarding yu'jibuhu, that the Prophet mentioned that yu'jibuhu, regarding concerning what is meant by this, so the meaning of certain wordings in clarifying, so we understand the hadith. He mentioned that the Prophet can be Islam. They mentioned can be Islam, meaning something that he would do repeatedly. So the word kana, it gives the understanding something like istimrar, that is something that he did often. So the word kana indicate that is an act that the Prophet he would did very often. Then I mentioned of those things that he would did very often. So this is Aisha anha given a description regarding the Prophet how he functioned regarding certain things, and of those things regarding the use of the right regarding carrying out certain acts. So of those things I mentioned, yu'jibuhu, tayammum, in the sense of that al-ajab in this context means those things that he was pleased or delighted with. Yasirhu, yardi'u, those things that he was somewhat pleased with, those things that he was somewhat delighted, he was happy about doing of those things, which is that he liked and preferred, or he enjoyed using the right in what matters. Tana'ul, regarding concerning tana'ul, they mention here regarding concerning, so mean the person starting with his right. So starting with the right side of his body in carrying out certain acts. So of those things, so also they mentioned that there's something that showed the Prophet Islam that he enjoyed and doing this thing, and also the ulama mentions the things that the Prophet enjoyed, Prophet Muhammad enjoy doing, then also we should find enjoyment in doing of those things. And those things that he disliked, then also we should dislike doing those things also. So as is our example, and we are there to follow his sunnah in all matters. So they mentioned regarding concerning some of those matters, so the thing that he enjoyed and like to do, then also the Muslim also should enjoy carrying out of those things, especially regarding things that he had consistency in doing of those things and frequency in doing of those things. Then it mentioned that using of the right, so starting with the right side of the body, then that is something which is that, and they mentioned the starting with the right regarding doing of starting with the right, as this show regarding concerning it indicate regarding things which is of that he enjoyed, things of pleasure or things of delight, things also that are short of things that are considered to be noble acts. So noble things that have certain type of value, that the right side is given precedent in doing of those things. Then they mention regarding concerning that, so of those things, putting on one shoe, so wearing of tana'u, regarding of the shoe, wearing of shoe. So and that would include wearing of slippers, in putting on the slipper, wearing of any type of foot garment. The person start with the right foot first. He will start with the right foot first, and that also include regarding putting on one socks or anything that is placed on the foot. Then the person will start with his right before he starts with his left. Then so also so the next thing that he mentioned, that tarajjul, regarding concern, then the next thing regarding combing of the hair. So combing of the hair, that a person that would include regarding the person wish to comb his hair, to grease his hair, to wash his hair, to cut off his hair, then to start with the right. So the person will start with the right side of the body, then go to the left. Then I mention the next thing I mentioned, tuhuri or tuhuri, and also regarding concerning tuhuri, that they mention concerning that at-tuhur, what is mentioned regarding al-wudu, and also they mention al-ghusl. So they mention that at-tuhur would include both the act of performing al-wudu and also the act of performing al-ghusl. So whenever he started, the Prophet ﷺ started performing, carrying out the act of wudu or the act of ghusl, that he would start with his right side. He would start with his right first and then go to the left accordingly. So that's concerning that this matter. A discussion between the ulama regarding concerning is the word regarding concerning the tashkil, as they mentioned concerning, is it tuhur, dammatul tha, putting tuhur or tahur. So there's a khilaf between the ulama on that regarding concerning, but both, some of the ulama both are correct, but tuhur, then that's the one that is more common. But both are said to be correct. But tuhur, that's the one that is more used. Then I mentioned of those things regarding concern. So that's concerning. Then I mentioned the next act regarding وَفِي شَهْنِهِ kulli. And also regarding, so given, and then in the last I mentioned that also he would start to the right regarding all his affairs. So regarding all of his affairs. So I can somewhat show that concerning that all the matters that he would carry out, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, that he will begin with his right side first regarding Jami' umuri, regarding all of his affairs. But with that I mentioned kulli as a form of showing that ta'keed and also generalization. But ulama mentioned and we discussed concerning that this is in relationship regarding things of sharf, noble acts. So the person, as we'll discuss regarding concerning, so are noble acts that are intended regarding all his affairs. As for things that are said to be acts of certain type of lesser status, that are so regarding concerning a person washing of himself, clean of himself, the person taking off things, then he would start with his left side first. So if the person removing things, taking off his shoe, taking off his clothes, then he would start with the left side first. So that's concerned. So the generalization there is in relation to things that are noble actions. All those things the Sharia have specified that they should start and with the right side first. That's concerning the meaning of the hadith. As for the ahkam that can be taken from the hadith, the first of those ahkam regarding, as Shaykh Abdullah Fawzan Hafidullah, he mentioned hadithun or hadithu dalilun ala mashru'iyyat bidayat al-rajul al-yumna fi labs an-nal. That hadith and somewhat it shows regarding concerning that the permissibility, that's the mashru'iyyat means that is something which is it is legislated for a person to start when with his right side in putting on his shoe. That would include by extension putting on his socks and any form of or khuf or the like. So any type of putting anything that is put onto the feet by way of socks or by shoe, then a person or a slipper, then a person will start with his right side first. And that applies to both male and female. And also a person also teach of their children these things, so they are cultivated regarding doing things according to the sunnah. So in general, that this hadith it shows regarding a person putting on of these things, then a person starts with his right first. And also وَكَذَلِكَ لَبْسَ الثِّيَابِ, regarding a person wearing of his thobe or putting on his garments, then also he will start with his right side first. So start on the right side first regarding wearing of one's clothing. Then as for taking off, then a person will start removing of the clothing, then one will start with the left. One will start with the left. Then the next of those ahkam that is also taken, also the hadith shows regarding that the person will wish to regarding concerning tarajjul regarding of his hair. So regarding combing, brushing, cutting of one's hair, then a person will start with his right side first. And the right side, ulama they mentioned regarding the shaqq al-ayman, the person starts with the person who is doing the act, the person the act being done upon them, the person who's going to cut his hair, then he will start with the right side first. So for his will be his right, not the person who's carrying the act. So it will be the person who's getting his hair cut. He will start with his right, then go to his left after. Or the person wish to shave his head, also the same thing would occur. So the person cutting off his hair, for whatever purpose, then one would start with the right side first, then go to the left. And that's for the person who's receiving the haircut. The next of those ahkam that are taken from the hadith regarding concerning al-wudu will ghusl with the shahid from the hadith. So the shahid, the main point of the hadith that I mentioned regarding what tuhurihi, regarding concern that is the hadith regarding is tuhur, regarding, as we said, tuhur, that would include performing the act of wudu and also the act of al-ghusl. Performing the act of wudu and also the act of al-ghusl. So in ghusl, the person will start by washing his right side first, then he'll go to his left. In the act of wudu, so regarding al-wudu, that a person will start regarding the hands, the right side regarding the hands. The person also regarding the feet, then he will start with those limbs first regarding the hands and the feet. So regarding the hands and the feet, in wudu, that one will start with his right side first before he goes to his left. So I mentioned that it's something which is, as mentioned by Ibn Mundhir rahimahullah قال فقد ثبت الأخبار أن رسول الله عليه السلام, that has been authentic among the Prophet عليه السلام أنه يبدأ أو بدأ بغسل يده اليمنى ثم اليسرى في الوضوء. That the Prophet Islam, that it had been authenticated upon the Prophet Islam that he would start washing of his right side first regarding wudu. So start to wash his right side first in performing of the act of wudu. Then I mention وكذلك يفعل المتوضي إذا أراد اتباع السنة. So the person who wants to follow the sunnah, then he will follow this example by starting with his right side first. So the ulama mentioned regarding concerning this act, it is something which is sunnah mustahab. So regarding concerning I mentioned hukum doing the right side first in washing of the limbs of wudu. That I mentioned, many of the ulama mentioned is something which is mustahab. So they mentioned that of those mentioned that فقد نقل غير واحد من أهل العلم إجماع على استحباب تيمم. That regarding that ulama mentioned that to start with the right side of the body in regarding carrying the act of wudu, it is something which is mustahab. So majority of the ulama is in the ijma on this matter. There's a consensus amongst the ulama that it is and I mentioned وكذلك من باب الأفضلية لا وجوب. But it's by way of something which is preferred, highly preferred to be done, not that it's something which is wajib. So it is highly preferred to be done, not something which is wajib. And the ulama mentioned it's something which is highly preferred, but not to the extent of wajib, to start at the right side of the body in performing al-wudu wal-ghusl. They mention of the likes concerned Ibn Mundhir, Ibn Abdul Barr, also Ibn Qudama, An-Nawawi, alayhim rahmatullah, jami'an. So all of those are going to somewhat clarify that it's something which is mustahab for a person. It is highly recommended, preferred, that a person starts with his right side first in performing of al-wudu. And even contemporary concerning Ibn Uthaymeen and others mention regarding this matter. Then a matter that is discussed between some fuqaha, and in brief they mention An-Nawawi rahimahullah, that he mentions An-Nawawi rahimahullah mentioned أجمع العلماء على أن التقديم اليمنى يمين على يسار. That what is stated, that ulama are in agreement that for a person to begin first, to give precedence to his right side over that of his left, by way of his hand, من اليدين والرجلين, by way of his hand and his feet, في الوضوء sunnah. In the act of performing wudu, it is sunnah to start with the right side first in washing the hands and the feet. It is a sunnah in wudu. And that is somewhat agreed, and that is agreed upon between the ulama. Then I mention وَلَوْ خَالِفَهَا. But the person was to go opposite this, the person was to go against this, فَاتَتُ الْفَضْلِ. Then what he has missed is that virtue. So the person was to do opposite, meaning the person, I mentioned, وَصَحْ وُضُوهُ, that the person was to start with his left side, did the left side first, is he have missed that virtue of coinciding with the sunnah, but his wudu is still valid. So the person was to do his left side first, then go to his right, then his wudu is still considered to be valid. He does not need to repeat it, just continue. But he has just missed that virtue and the reward for this. So that's concerning. So that's the wudu is still considered to be valid, but a person have missed out on that reward and that virtue. So that's concerning the hukum regarding that matter. Then the next of those matters that I discussed regarding from the hadith regarding that I mentioned also regarding starting with the right regarding all affairs. So regarding all of his affairs, that the ulama mentioned that is in relation regarding all of his affairs regarding things of takreem, things that are sharf, things that are said to be virtuous, noble acts. So that would include regarding of those things they mentioned based upon also evidence that clarify that the right hand is given precedent over the left regarding giving and taking. So the person and or give something to someone, he give with his right, not with his left. The person also shaking hands, then the person will shake hands with one's right hand, where the person, so shaking hands done with the right hand, contrary to so even the person that non-Muslim, and you wish to shake their hands, you use your right hand. Not per se to use your left hand, so you shake their hands with the right hand. Also putting on things, clothing, then the person with his right hands. Also you have things regarding concerning that entering the masjid with the right leg, leaving the masjid with the left, the person eating and drinking, then the food is placed in the person's mouth with his right hand. So these are things, ulama mentioned a person even using a siwak to start the right side first as the person will start with his so all of these things the ulama more inclined towards the person starting with his right side first, then going to his left of the person. So lots of, and so those are mentioned in all these affairs regarding things that have been specified by way of the Sharia and clarified by way of the Sharia, that a person starts with his right, as something is preferred that a person do so with his left. So the start with the left would be the preferred act. So the person taking off his clothing, taking off his shoe, it will start with his left. The person leaving the masjid, it will leave with his left leg. So those are the things regarding the person cleaning, washing of himself. He uses left hand. So these are the things. You have certain things where the left is giving precedent in those things that are considered to be things that lower actions. The left is giving is to be used. So that's concerning this matter. So that's concerning of those ahkam that can be taken from this particular hadith regarding of those things regarding the Prophet ﷺ regarding al-wudu. So this hadith, so in regarding concerning al-wudu, so both hadith kind of somewhat separate regarding that regarding al-wudu, which is the mawdu of the discussion, as the hadith is mentioned in the bab of al-wudu, and also he mentioned regarding wa tuhuri, regarding his purification, that he would start the right side of certain limbs in perform the wudu. So with the face, the person washes the entire face. So there's no precedent regarding. So the person, the person start with the face is the preferred to start from the head down, as to the water go flow in that order. So with the face, wash the face up and down. As for the hands and for the feet, the person wiping his head, the person wouldn't wipe with the right and then go to the left. The person will do both together. So concerning wiping of the head would be both together. There's no precedent. The person is preferred, or the ulama ever mentioned is preferred for the person to do is right, then do his left. Then that's not the case. So the person wiping of the head would be both hands together. But as for the washing of the hands and the feet, then one would start with the right side of the body first, and the same regarding al-ghusl, and that will be discussed further regarding kitab al-ghusl, be discussed further in the bab of al-ghusl. But that's the general idea and hukum regarding these particular matters. So it shows regarding the Muslim that certain things to pay attention regarding how things to be done. The Prophet Muhammad in this matter, by way of his action that was observed by Aisha anha, and also by what his own instruction that one should start with one's right regarding these acts. The hukum is something which is mustahab. It is not per se wajib. If a person was to do opposite regarding starting with the left side of his body, his wudu, his ghusl is still valid. He does not need to repeat or to restart it, but he continue and it is still valid. So that's concerning the hukum regarding this particular discussion, this particular masala regarding the matter relating to some of the ahkam that relates to al-wudu. As Ibn Hajar rahimahullah now discussing individual issues regarding al-wudu, clarifying their hukum with some more detail. So today we have covered this particular discussion, or this particular masala regarding the use of the right and starting with the right in the act of wudu. And as we had mentioned, the ahkam that relates to this. So this inshallah ta'ala will end this session for today and continue after. وبالله تعالى توفيق وهذه السبيل والآخر الحمد لله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.